Was that a faux pas? Also, that burp was incredibly spicy.
Good to know.
What did
Thank
you
you
eat?
so much.
Lots of things from Trader Joe's.
Nice.
I might need to go get a Dubs. We'll see.
Me every day at work.
Oh, I'm first today, so I don't have to worry
are.
about the intro. Okay. Are we ready? Should we just jump into this?
Yeah.
Let's
for
do
it.
Okay.
it.
Welcome, friends. You're listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive. I'm Hannah.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Shelby.
Yay.
Woo! Okay.
Woo. Do we have any announcements?
I have two, personal announcements.
Okay.
I got hired at the primary school that I work at to be there full time in a special ed classroom. I'm so excited.
Yay!
And also, oh my god, this is so traumatic, but we thought we were saying goodbye to Daisy last night. Daisy is our family dog.
Oh no!
She is not well. She hasn't been well for a long time.
I
But
was gonna
I was
say,
gonna
she
say
last
like
night-
3 years ago when I watched her,
I know.
you were like, "Don't be alarmed if she dies while we're on vacation," and I was like, "What?"
you literally were like at that animal nursing home.
Pretty much, yeah.
But no, we think that, I don't know, I literally video called her last night and said goodbye, and it was really upsetting. But she's
So my dogs are
okay. She went to the
barking.
vet
Sorry about
today.
that.
That's okay, Shelby.
She,
What,
she
Hannah?
went to the vet today and came home alive, so that's good.
That's always good.
She has this big swollen, okay, trigger warning, it's really gross, abscess on her neck, and her
Ew.
lips are all swollen.
Aw.
And they had to lance it and drain it.
Poor
Gross.
thing.
Yep, you were right.
I know,
It's really
it was
gross.
huge and disgusting. I'll send you a picture, but fair warning, I'm
don't.
crying in the background.
Okay.
But they think that she was bitten by a spider, because we have brown recluses in Illinois.
Yeah.
But she's okay. I don't know. The
Yeah.
problem is, I don't know. She's
She's probably as okay as she can be.
yeah.
You know?
So here, ignore my crying fat face. But you can see how swollen that side of her face that's sticking up is.
Yeah.
Yeah, my poor baby.
It does kind of look like she may have gotten bitten since it's only in that one.
I know, it's just that
spot.
side. And
Yeah.
but this morning, oh my god, this morning her lips were so swollen that it was horrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good thoughts, prayers, vibes,
Yeah.
spells, whatever you do for Daisy Dog, Daisy
Yeah.
May. She's a good girl.
Yeah. Were those all your announcements, Una? Or did you have another
Yep.
one? Okay. I think mine is just that I submitted my seminar paper, so I'm now officially done with this semester because I hadn't submitted my paper. Well,
I
'cause,
still have to grade.
I left it for a couple days because I was like, I might go back and edit. I didn't actually edit, but I did add a works, a bibliography, because I didn't add that before, and I thought that might be important. So
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so.
I just completely forgot to do it. So honestly, even if I had forgotten it and then I remembered later and sent it to my professor, she wouldn't care. So it's fine. But
That's fair.
yeah,
I want to be that kind of professor, even though I
she's
never want to be a professor.
Yeah, she was super chill, which is weird because she was the person. She's a judge. Well, she's a retired judge. She's also an actress, which she didn't start doing until she was an adult. She's in a few episodes of that new Amazon show Utopia. Apparently, it's
Cool.
yeah, it's weird.
She was just like, I think I'm going to take up acting.
Literally, yes, that's what happened. And she started
I'm a
off
law
just
school professor. I was a judge, but you know what? Acting sounds good. Let's do that.
yeah. I think she was doing the acting before she was teaching, and I think she only teaches this one class at my school.
Yeah.
But yeah, she created the domestic violence court here in Chicago. It did not used to exist,
Sick.
and she
That's
created it.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
she
really
was
cool.
But she's I mean, obviously, like, we did everything virtually, so I couldn't see her physically, but she's like 4'10", so she's even shorter than Ashley. She's this tiny, little Sicilian woman, and I'm like, how, you know, it's one of those people that's like, I wouldn't have pegged you as a judge, you know what I mean? But, no, I loved her. She was so nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So.
My announcement is that my coworker does not have COVID.
Good!
Woo!
Which is good, but
Okay.
also if he did have COVID, we would have gotten closed for 2 weeks and I could have skipped Super Saturday and had a 2-week vacation. I am happy that he is not more ill and that he didn't get COVID and that we didn't have to shut down, but also I want a 2-week vacation, so like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Someone please close the mall.
Okay, sorry, Huna.
Let's go.
It's fine. No, I'm kidding. We're good.
Yeah.
Are we though?
Physically, maybe. I don't know. I have heartburn now, which I didn't have all day.
Cool.
Whatever. It's fine.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. I have a PowerPoint because
It's
hi.
Okay. Is it in your research folder still?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, it's
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure I don't, like, go into your stuff. Oh!
Yeah.
I know this.
Okay.
I don't know a whole lot, but...
Yes, I changed the title of it because to respect the family because they don't like the other title that it goes by.
Okay.
All right, Shelby, are you here yet?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, today we are going to look at the strange death of Gloria Ramirez, aka the toxic woman, but I'm not going to use that term because her family does not appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Okay, so my sources. Have you heard of this, Shelby?
No. Maybe.
There's a BuzzFeed Unsolved
What?
video about it, which is how I know it. But
It's
I literally...
probably one of those things that, like, I put it on in the background as, like, either a podcast or a BuzzFeed Unsolved and, like, wasn't really paying attention, so...
Yeah.
Because, like,
Okay.
the name sounds vaguely familiar, but...
You'll know in a minute then.
Yeah.
All right, so my sources are Wikipedia. I listened to a podcast called Medical Mysteries, another one called Files Obscura, grimhappenings.com, allthat'sinteresting.com. But I would say the bulk of this is from Discover Magazine and their article called Analysis of a Toxic Death. And then I also found an article from the Washington Post.
Cool.
So let's talk about the night of the incident. So around 8:15 on February 19th, 1994, an ambulance brought 31-year-old Gloria Ramirez to the emergency department of the Riverside General Hospital in Riverside, California. So that's actually a picture of it in the back there. So she presented with tachycardia and I don't know how to read, guys. Is that Cheney, whatever.
That or, like,
anyway,
Shane or something. Probably Cheney. Let's just go with Cheney.
You know what? It doesn't matter. She had an irregular
doesn't
heart
matter.
rate and
Yeah.
she had trouble breathing. She was having a heart attack.
Yes.
And she was confused and not responding. And the ambulance driver gave her oxygen and an IV. And she wasn't responding to that. Once she was in the ER, she went to Trauma Bay 1, and the doctors injected her with a bunch of different sedatives to sort of calm her down and sedate her so they could continue working on her. So they gave her diazepam, which is also called Valium.
I love Valium.
Midazolam. What?
I said I love Valium.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
That's
please
what
don't
they-
announce that.
I know. That's what they put me on when I had to get my toenail removed the second time, because the first time was so terrible that when he told me I had to do it again, I just involuntarily burst into tears.
Oh no, Shannon.
Because I didn't want to do it again. So he was like, we'll give you Valium. And I was like, okay, good. Yeah.
Okay. I took half of Valium once after I got my wisdom teeth out, and the radio was talking to me. And so I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever had Valium.
I've only
I think
had it
my
that
dad
one
has a
time.
bad reaction to it, so we just are like, maybe no.
Yeah. I've only had it that one time, but it worked really well, because during the procedure to get my nail removed, I was still in pain, and there were tears just, like, coming out of my face because I was in pain, but I was just like, no, I'm good.
Oh my gosh.
Don't get your
Anyway,
toenails
so-
removed, kids. Painful.
She was given Valium, midazolam, and lorazepam, which is also called Ativan. And all of these, again, were given to sedate her, and she wasn't responding to any of the treatments, so the doctors decided that the next best thing they could do was start CPR and to defibrillate her. So, they removed her shirt and noticed that there was an oily sheen on her skin and a strange fruity garlic smell that was coming from her mouth. Okay, so then it starts to get weird.
Yeah, I know this one.
Okay, yeah. But, like, I don't know, I can't imagine a fruity garlic smell.
I know. Like, I don't even know what that would smell like.
I can't...
Those two things don't go together.
No.
You know? Like...
I feel like it would be like someone with really bad halitosis but who's chewing juicy fruit.
Ew. Yeah?
Someone who
don't
just
know.
ate a lot of pasta but is chewing juicy fruit.
They got a white
So
pizza,
Yeah.
That they
and then...
could get rid of the garlic smell.
Yeah. Ugh.
Gross. Anyway, so then a nurse named Susan Kane, she drew some blood from Ramirez's arm. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
From Ramirez's arm and noticed an ammonia-like smell coming from the syringe. And then there was a respiratory therapist named Maureen Welch, and she was also in the trauma bay one, and so she leaned closer to the to Ramirez's body and tried to find the source of it. And she also smelled the syringe, sniffed the syringe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And found a gross smell there also. And she said, quote, "I thought it would smell like chemotherapy, the way the blood smells putrid when people are taking some of those drugs. Instead," she said, "it smelled like ammonia." So Ramirez had recently been diagnosed with late-stage cervical cancer, but I don't think she had started chemotherapy yet. I think she was due to start it in the next week. So there were a lot of strange smells happening.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So then Susan Kane, again, who's the nurse, she gave the vial to a medical resident named Julie Gorchinsky. And Gorchinsky looked at it further, and she noticed all of these weird manila-colored particles floating in the blood. So, I don't know, should I tell? Yeah, I guess I will. All right, I'm going to tell a quick story. So, my sister Millie is kind of a ding-dong. Love you, Millie. You know you are. And she one day came home from, I don't know, she was like playing with a neighbor or whatever, and she came home and she said, I will change the person's name. She said, we'll call him, this is my favorite made up name, Joe Dingus. So Joe Dingus's dog bit him on the particles. And we were like,
Okay.
What? She's like, yeah, he bit him on the particles. We're like, what are you talking about? That she didn't know that there was a word for testicles, or she got it confused. I don't know. But anyway, so particles is what we now call testicles in my household. Anyway, that's my particle story. Beige particles. And then okay, back to this. So there were beige colored particles floating in the blood, and then those were found again by Julie Gorchinsky, and then Humberto Ochoa, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was the doctor, the attending physician that evening, and he also saw those particles. So then everything kind of goes really crazy really fast. Nurse Kane began to sway dangerously, she was overpowered by the smell, I guess, and Dr. Ochoa caught her as she was fainting. And put her on the ground and was like, what is happening? Kane said that her face felt like it was burning, and she was put on a gurney and wheeled out of there real quick, and they were like, okay, that was weird. And then Gorchinsky, the resident, also started to feel nauseated, so she left and went to go sit at the nurse's station, and she complained of being incredibly lightheaded. And when she went back, or someone went to go check on her, and they were like, are you okay? And then she slumped to the floor and fainted.
Great.
Yeah. So when Gorchinsky woke up, she began to have these muscle spasms. So she would just shake intermittently, and then she would also go into what is called apnea. So I don't know, you've probably heard of sleep apnea, but it's when you stop breathing for a couple of seconds, and then you take a couple of big breaths, and then you stop breathing again.
Yeah.
So she had these muscle spasms and apnea. So that registered therapist, what the fuck, that respiratory therapist, my mom is literally a respiratory therapist, and she would be so disappointed in me. So Maureen Welch, she was the next one to faint. She says, quote, "I remember hearing someone scream, then I woke up and couldn't control the movement of my limbs." So she also had that weird muscle spasm that was happening. So after Welch collapsed, more staff members who were working in the ER began to feel ill. And at this point, Dr. Ochoa was like, okay, we need to evacuate. So the entire emergency room evacuated into the parking lot of the, what did I say this was called? The Riverside General Hospital. So everyone who, like, wasn't in active surgery was let out. They were like, get out of here. And then a skeleton crew remained behind. So I think it was like 3 people, including Dr. Ochoa, remained behind with Gloria and continued to work on her. And after about 45 minutes of CPR and defibrillation, they pronounced her dead. And I don't remember what time that was. But they said it was due to kidney failure related to her late-stage cervical cancer. So after she was pronounced dead, they moved her body into a separate isolation room so that she could be quarantined. Because they didn't want any further contamination with whatever, because they were just trying to control the situation. They didn't know what was happening. So they're like, okay, we just need to put her out of the way because we don't know if this is from her or from something else that's happening in the hospital. But either way, it didn't happen until she came in. So they put her in this like quarantine area. All right, so this is a quote from the Discover magazine article. Quote, "Outside in the parking lot, hospital staff were treating patients and ill colleagues under the dull orange glow of sulfur lamps. Because of concern that the stricken staff had been felled by a noxious chemical, they were stripped down to their underwear and their clothes were bundled into plastic bags. Gorchinsky continued to experience tremors and apnea. Kane flailed her arms and legs, and her face still burned. Meanwhile, Sally Balderas, a vocational nurse who had gone back inside to help take Ramirez's body into the isolation room, began retching and feeling a burning sensation on her skin. Soon she was in such bad shape that she too was laid out on a gurney. So yeah, so like, it got real crazy real fast.
Yeah.
Why did I spell hydrogen wrong there? Okay. So after this happened, the hospital called in a hazmat team, and they were like, we need help, please. So the hazmat team came, and they were sort of, they brought in, I don't know, something that because I'm so bad at science that to me it seems like it's from Star Trek. It smells the air or whatever for chemicals, and so they were looking for certain toxins, whether it was present in the air or on Gloria's body. Oh my god. That came out of nowhere.
I know.
Or on Gloria's body. They were looking for chemicals. Okay. So they were testing for things like, quote, wait, I can't write. Sorry. They tested for things, quote, including hydrogen sulfide, also known as sewer gas, an insidious poison that smells like rotten eggs and at high concentrations can kill a person after 1 or 2 whiffs. A phosgene, a gas, and phosgene, a gas with a dual identity. On one hand, a law-abiding ingredient used in the preparation of many organic chemicals, and on the other, a terrible weapon for chemical warfare that tears open capillaries in the lungs, drowning victims in blood.
Jesus,
to the relief of the hospital,
cool.
yeah, I know. To the relief of the hospital administrators, hazmat crews detected none of these chemicals in the emergency room.
Okay.
So they did a thorough search, and they didn't find any of these.
Yeah.
So not the sewer gas, which, again, is, like, incredibly poisonous.
Yeah.
Or this other one that I can't say, apparently.
The one that makes you bleed through your lungs.
Phosgene.
I have no idea how to I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like there should be an extra vowel in there. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, neither of these were present in the emergency room. It was just still chaos.
Uh-huh.
Okie dokie. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, I just need to take a sip of water.
Okay.
That burp took a lot out of me.
Random, but one of my professors in my speech pathology department in undergrad, he would take a sip of water like every 3 words. And one time someone was like, "Why do you drink so much?" And he was like, "I gotta keep my vocal folds lubricated." But we were
Gross.
like, "Please never say that again."
That was your punishment for asking him a question, apparently.
Apparently. But yeah, he used to like take a sip of water like constantly, and we were like, how?
It's not necessary.
I had a professor who, okay, so actually I just told this story last night, but I'll retell it to you guys because you weren't in my living room last night.
Nope.
Anyway,
No, we're not.
I had this class. It was a survey of American literature post, I don't know, 1930, whatever, doesn't matter. But the first professor who was teaching it died like
Oh, I remember that.
2 or 3 weeks into class.
Yep.
Lovely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then we got this other professor who is actually a creative writing adjunct, and he was great. He was so interesting, and I wanted to know more about him because he looked like just some normal Joe Schmo, and like I feel like he had his, I don't know, anyway. We made up like a conspiracy theory about him that he just had like a deep and troubled past or whatever.
Oh my gosh, we had a whole like life story made up for one of our professors. She was
Because we just didn't know anything about him.
she was like a super secret like agent, was gonna bring world peace, but the government was covering up everything that she tried to do.
Ours was just that my advisor, that's the word I wanted, was actually a drug smuggler for the cartel. But we actually
Okay,
had
but
facts
that's
to back
incredibly
that up.
plausible for
we
that.
had facts to back that one up, so...
I don't know. This guy just had a
I
weird tattoo,
don't-
and we were like, we don't know what it means. But anyway, every single class, without fail, he had a venti Americano from the Starbucks across the quad there.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend and I used to not make fun of him for it, but like, I don't know, we had like basically like a code of like whatever he would do, and we'd like laugh at certain things because we're like, oh, it's so typical this professor to be drinking his Americano. So anyway, anytime he would take a sip of it, we would kind of laugh a little bit. And one day in class he was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, was that a faux pas? No, we're just idiots. Sorry to ruin class.
Faux pas. Oh my god.
And then, oh my god, and then another time, and we live, okay, so like the way our school is set up, and Shannon, you can attest to this, our class was in Cheek, so like anytime an ambulance would go by, it sounded like it was in the building with us, because it was literally on the main road.
Yeah.
But anyway, an ambulance went by one day, and like the sirens were on, and he couldn't see out the window because of the way the classroom was set up, and so he kind of like backed into the corner and put his arms against the wall like he was falling over, and he was like, is that me? Is that what's happening? Is that me? And I'm like, it's an ambulance, you nut.
Oh man.
Anyway, he was so interesting.
Ah, that's funny.
The only like interesting thing, I mean, we had a whole reason for why my professor was like a super secret like agent or whatever, but our classroom was always like 90 degrees for some unknown reason, and it was in the like rec facility building. So one day we went and like stole a fan from one of the workout rooms, one of those like giant industrial fans. And so we did that, and then it was still so hot, and like you couldn't hear anything if that fan was going, so basically class was pointless. So the next day our professor brought in a thermometer and put it in the window to see how hot the classroom was, and then took it to the administration, and she was like, do something about it.
Good.
I love it.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what happened.
I don't.
Why.
I'll figure it out when I'm editing. I don't remember how we got there.
I don't know.
It's fine. Anyway.
Anywho, next slide. So this is Julie Gorchinsky, that resident who was affected by this. Okay, so after all was said and done, sorry, where did that come from? What is happening? Okay, in total, 23 of the 37 ER staff members experienced at least one symptom. So again, those symptoms were like fainting, nausea, their skin felt like it was burning, apnea, and muscle spasms, just to name a few. 5 people ended up being hospitalized, including Gorchinsky and Balderas. So Balderas experienced bouts of apnea, and she ended up being hospitalized. So again, apnea is when you stop breathing. And she was hospitalized for 10 days because of it. So that sucks.
A little bit.
Then Gorchinsky, she was the most severe. She had the most severe reaction out of anyone. She spent 2 weeks in the intensive care unit, where in addition to apnea, she had hepatitis, pancreatitis, and avascular necrosis, which is where your bone tissue doesn't have any oxygen in the blood, and so it starts to die. And so the avascular necrosis attacked her knees, and so she ended up being in a wheelchair and on crutches for months.
Jesus.
So like literally her knees died. That's what avascular necrosis does. Like your bone just straight dies. So Sheldon Wagner, a clinical toxicologist at Oregon State University, said, quote, "It takes a really damn potent toxin to do all that."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you don't come into like physical contact with it.
Yeah, it's all just like smell.
Yeah. Or even the ones who did touch her, like, we'll get into that later, but yeah.
Yes, we will get into it.
We'll get into it later, so just move on.
We'll get into it. Slide 6, the autopsy. You can kind of, well, we'll talk about it in a second. All right.
Okay.
So, samples of her blood, tissue. Oh, I want to go back a minute.
Okay.
You know what? No, we'll save that for the conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Whatever. All right. So samples of her blood, tissue, and air from the body bag that she was in were taken by the hazmat unit when they first, when the incident first occurred. So when they first got there, they spent 90 minutes in the hospital doing all of these tests, and then they took all of these samples. And then Ramirez was placed, and you can kind of see it in this picture, in that is like a sealed aluminum.
Body bag
Coff-
kind of a thing.
They didn't use the word coffin, they used crate, but like to me crate means it's made out of wood.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's a coffin. It's like a sealed coffin so that none of the air or toxins or whatever could escape. So the coroner's office at first really didn't give up any information. They, like, even to Ramirez's family. So her sister was like, "Can we, like, bury her? What is going on?" And they're like, "No, we have to do 17 autopsies." Actually, that's a lie. She ended up having 3 autopsies.
That's still more than the normal amount of autopsies.
It's more than
Yeah.
JFK got when he was assassinated, fun fact.
Yeah. Did they even do an autopsy on him? Or did they only do one?
Yeah, I think the State Department, like, looked him over and was like, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, and, like, they knew what caused it, so, like, yeah, they don't, like, this is a sign of a tangent. Like, you don't get an autopsy for every single death. It's only the ones that look kind of funky. So, like, they knew what killed him.
Or for certain cases, like certain states you have to get an autopsy if you're in a car accident.
Yeah. Or, like,
it's like...
You can, like, request an autopsy.
Yeah, you can request one. But you're like,
that's where the third one came from. Her family was like, "We're getting our own autopsy."
Yeah, like you can request one, but they're not automatically going to do an autopsy for every single death, like the coroner's office or whatever. They're just not.
No,
because it's not necessary in a lot of
because most of them are like natural causes or
If you're
like if you die in a
die
hospital, usually like the hospital knows what happened. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. But anyway, the coroner's office was really tight-lipped about the whole situation. They're like, "We don't know, we're not saying, don't worry about it." So a couple of days after the autopsy, like the first official autopsy done by the, I think it's the Riverside County the Riverside County Coroner's Office, they decided to contact some outside consultants. So one of the companies they talked to was the Forensic Science Center at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, which is about 60 miles east of San Francisco. And this place, it had a really interesting, I didn't include it in my notes, but it had a really interesting past. Like, they were involved with a lot of, like, Cold War era spy shit.
Oh.
So basically, what you're telling me is this is going to be the next plot of Stranger Things.
Heck yes. Oh my god. Yes, it is. Okay. But, okay. Yes, definitely. Okay, so the team decided that they would, quote, analyze the compounds both organic and inorganic in the blood, bile, and tissues of Ramirez's organs, including her heart, liver, lungs, brain, and kidneys. The team would also check for any gases that may have vented off the samples into the headspace, the pocket of air separating the samples from the top of the containers. Okay, so Brian Anderson was the director of the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Guys, I can't read. So he's the center's director, and he said that I cut it out on accident. Anyway, most of the information they assumed that they were going to get would come from the bile, which is the secretion that the liver makes. But, quote, when he warmed the bile to body temperature to pull out any gases still lurking in it, all he found was nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and argon, normal constituents? Yeah, of air. So, basically just normal stuff. Like, none of that is out of the ordinary. You have that in your body from the air you breathe. So he said, quote, I was hoping to see a chemical, some small molecule that's going to knock everybody down, but nothing was showing up there. So then he used a computer-guided combined gas, oh my god, this is so hard, chromatograph mass spectrometer.
There we go. Yay!
Basically that science. What it does is you heat up chemicals, and then you put them in I'm gonna explain this very poorly. You put it in like a tube or something, I don't know, and then all of these atoms are shot at it, and then it makes like a spectrum, and then you look at that and it tells you things from science.
Cool.
Anyway, so
it's only what things that one girl on NCIS uses all the time.
Sure. I don't know.
Happy.
I used to watch NCIS, and then I read this article that said how NCIS is turning your parents Republican, and then I stopped watching NCIS.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this thing, it's similar to that, but NCIS is known as like the most Republican of all of those shows for whatever reason. Anyway.
Yeah. We're not gonna get into my thoughts on that right now.
No.
Okay. So anyway, he used the computer-guided combined gas chromatograph mass spectrometer to sort out the chemicals. It's so many. How many syllables is that?
A lot.
Computer.
I mean, they use it on lots of crime shows. Anytime they do anything forensic-y.
Chromatograph mass spectrometer. I may have gotten that wrong, but I think it's 18 syllables. Anyway.
It's too many syllables.
That's too many for me. I cannot. Okay. So, he found that Ramirez had, quote, lidocaine, Tylenol, codeine, and something called Tigan? I don't know. It's an anti-nausea medication in her system at the time of her death. So that's not really crazy because, again, she did have late-stage cancer, so she's probably in a lot of pain.
Yeah. None of that sounded weird to me.
Yeah, like that all sounds like normal.
Yeah.
Normal stuff.
Yeah. I've taken worse things.
Yeah.
Okay. You two and your Vicodin parties over there.
Look.
They're Valium parties, thank you very much, and you're not invited.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant, Valium. Whatever, same diff.
Don't self-medicate, friends.
Don't do it.
That's all I gotta say.
Okay. But there were a couple of anomalies that he did find in her system. So the first one was an unidentified... Why did I pick this? It's all science shit. I can't... Okay. An unidentified amine. I don't know. Anyway, amine. And it's a derivative of ammonia. So that might have been the possible smell from the ER. But again, there were only absolute minuscule levels of this in her body. So it was probably just from the body's natural breakdown of the anti-nausea medication that she was on. The next one was nicotinamide, a compound like phosgene. God, kill me. So it's a thing that you need in your body. It's like a vitamin B that's necessary for healthy human. I keep rolling away from my desk. Why am I rolling? Needed for healthy human health.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna just shut my mouth. Healthy human health. Oh god. but it can also be mixed with things like methamphetamines to elevate euphoria.
Okay. Did they find meth in her system?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
Not in her, okay, but it's a big thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But like the what's his name? Anderson was like, but why the fuck would she be doing meth if she was that sick?
Seriously,
so he's like,
meth isn't what you take when you're that sick. Like, that's not gonna help
But
you.
did she take Sudafed?
no, that wasn't in her system. Just this vitamin B that is cut with
Gotcha.
meth sometimes.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
he was like, I don't know why she had elevated levels of it. Moving on.
Yeah.
The next thing that she had a lot was dimethyl sulfone. So this is technically an industrial solvent, but our bodies can also produce it naturally. However, it has a half-life of about 3 days. So that means that if you were to produce it in your body, there's never really a measurable amount in your system, because you break it down so quickly. However, her samples were 3 times higher than in the codeine sample. So it could have come from the codeine, but it was like way more than it should have been, even for someone who's taking codeine.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah, so Anderson and his team didn't find anything that could knock out a healthy emergency room team.
Yeah.
So basically, to sum that up, Ramirez took a lot of Tylenol and codeine, but she was in pain for her cancer, so why it doesn't, I don't know how it could be there.
Yeah.
So Anderson says, quote, there clearly was something unusual going on, but nothing that could have resulted in Ramirez's death or the emergency room symptoms. He was, this is it. He was discouraged. Quote, I remember thinking, how could I spend this much time and not find anything? So again, he's been looking into this for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Let's see, February. It's almost been 2 months.
Yeah. Well, those tests probably take a while.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
Wait,
So-
if that thing has a half-life of 3 days, how was it still around like 2 months later?
That's for if you like produce it naturally in your body.
plus he may have
But-
been. Well, no, I just solved my own problem with that one. Never mind.
But that's why it's weird. That's why it's something of note, because it shouldn't have been there.
Okay.
We shouldn't have been able to measure the amount that she
Okay.
had.
Gotcha. Or was it like such a high amount that after that much time, there was still that much in her?
That too.
Yeah.
Could be that also.
I don't know how that works.
Oh my gosh,
I
she's
barely
coming out
know
of nowhere.
science.
So, next slide. Let's talk about the theories. There are a lot of them, and I don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
So, on April 29th, the coroner's office of Riverside County officially declared that Ramirez died as a result of cardiac dysrhythmia triggered by kidney failure stemming from her cervical cancer. So, she died of natural causes, is what they decided. Okay. But then why did everyone get sick?
Yeah.
And why is it such a big deal? And why is she called the toxic woman in the media?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it.
To be fair, if they can't figure it out, they're just like, well, it must have been natural causes.
Yeah.
Because we
I
don't
mean,
know.
she
what
was
else it
she
could
was
be.
very sick.
Yeah, she
But
was.
again, she was young. She was only 31. But
They also have the option of saying an unknown cause of death.
Yeah.
I
I
know.
know. Yeah.
yeah, and why did they take almost 2 months to tell us? More than that. More than 2
The
months.
government.
The government. All right, so the quote official theory as to why everyone got sick was that she died of natural causes, but the hospital went... I have a hair on my tongue. Okay. I'm gonna...
Are you good over there?
Yep. Okay.
Are you sure?
So, the hospital was investigated for several months. Just like everything that... God, what the fuck? And concluded that the staff did not suffer from poisoning, but something else. They concluded that it was probably a case of mass hysteria. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they said on the
Here's-
BuzzFeed Unsolved I keep saying
Yeah,
article,
wait.
video. They didn't present that as, like, the definitive, because, you know, on Unsolved, it's unsolved. They just give the theories, but that was... I think that was
That's
the
what-
one that
that's-
Shane went for, because it's Shane. So...
Yeah, that's the one that's like the quote-unquote official thing. So
Yeah.
the odor coming off of her may have triggered some kind of mass hysteria. It's happened before. Do you guys know about the Mad Gasser of Mattoon?
Yes.
I think I do. Explain it anyway, because I'm sure people
Basically,
don't know.
during World War II, people would like smell something and then they would be overcome with like paralysis of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that in Mattoon, where I don't even know where that is, but they were saying like that there was a mad gasser going around gassing people, and it was a case of mass hysteria because people were just smelling like regular smells. But since it was World War II and like gassing was still a thing in the forefront of people's minds,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, well, this is some crazy lunatic who's come to kill us all with the gas.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't anything. It was just people being hysterical.
Yeah.
I hate that word, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, like, people are really, like, susceptible to things like
Yeah.
that. Like, it's kind of like the opposite of a placebo effect, where, like, you think that this thing is bad, therefore you're getting bad effects from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But here's my problem
Like,
with that.
I could see
No,
that
I don't
for
think that this is what
some
happened.
of them.
No,
but, like,
I'm
the
saying,
lady
like,
whose, like, knees died, that's,
Yeah.
like,
No, I'm not
I was
obviously-
gonna say,
saying that-
how did Gorczynski get avascular necrosis if
Yeah.
it was all in her head?
No,
And
yeah.
she brought that to court. She like sued for, I don't know, she sued the county for like, I think it was like $6 million, and was like, I'm not making this shit up. I can't
Yeah.
walk. I'm like,
Yeah.
Like, the ones
Paralyzed.
who just had the apnea, I could see that, because that's, I mean, essentially, like, hyperventilating or something like that. But, yeah,
Yeah,
the ones
I
who
don't
had
know,
more
but-
severe symptoms.
Yeah, and I
the
wasn't
people who
saying
were having
that...
muscle spasms and
Yeah.
passing out, I don't know.
No, yeah, I wasn't saying that I think that's what happened with these people. I was just saying, like, generally, that is a thing that can happen.
No,
Yeah,
and
you
I,
know,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I know
no,
it's
yeah,
a thing,
totally.
but...
Yeah.
Yeah. We all kind of said that all at once. It was just funny.
Yeah, because I don't know what the fuck happened with this. I don't think it was mass hysteria, though, because that woman had... her bones died. Like, that isn't something that you can trick yourself into happening, you know?
My
Like,
bones are dead. Oh my god.
What?
Okay. I had this student last year, and I love him so much in my special ed class. And if he didn't want to do something, he would always just scream at the top of... Okay, he did one of two things. He would either go, delete library, no more
I
library,
remember
we're done with
him."
library. And the other thing he would do, and he always did it during gym, and it cracked my shit up, was that he would throw himself on the floor and scream, I can't! My bones are dead!
I remember that.
Oh my god, he's so precious. But anyway, he used to say that all the time. My bones are dead, because we'd be like, okay, go run around the gym. No, I can't. My bones are dead. Oh my god.
That sounds
he's
like
so
something
cute.
I would have said.
It's beautiful.
Oh, man.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Conspiracy number 2. Oh wait, no. I mean, theory number 2. The conspiracy theory. Well, okay. I think I mislabeled this. This isn't really the conspiracy theory. This is the like official theory number 2, I guess.
Okay.
So, at the time of her death, Gloria Ramirez was... Wait. Yeah. Okay, at the time of her death, it was thought... Let me rephrase that. It was thought that Gloria Ramirez was using a cream called DMSO, or dimethyl sulfone, a sort of cure-all that turned out to be highly toxic. So, in the 60s, it was like I said, like a cure-all. Everyone used it for whatever ailed them. So, kind of like... I don't know. We used to use this stuff for everything. I don't remember what it... Cocoa butter my parents would be like, put cocoa butter on it. I think it's basically coconut oil, but like it was in like an old-fashioned tin, and I'm pretty sure it was from 1948.
Yeah.
But we used it for everything. It was be like, oh, I bumped my head. Okay, put cocoa butter on it. Like, whatever. But it was thought to relieve pain and reduce anxiety. But in 1965, it was labeled as a toxic substance because it actually caused you to go blind.
Oh,
so,
God.
Lovely.
the I think it was the FDA. They were like, we're done.
Probably
with this.
the FDA.
No more. Stop using it on your body. So the drug kind of went underground. You could still buy it at hardware stores as a degreaser, but like this form was incredibly toxic because
Yeah.
it wasn't diluted like the one for people.
Hang on.
It was just in its
Hey!
pure form. So can you imagine just rubbing degreaser all over yourself and be like, I'm cured?
That's like
And then you were blind.
taking a bath in WD-40.
Hey, real quick, I need
Seriously,
to go check on
same
my dog because she
thing.
sounds like actually distressed. So I will be right back.
Okay.
She sounds really upset. Hang on. Hey, little girl. Hey, what's wrong? Okay, I'm so sorry. There's a moving truck outside and she was not happy. So I brought her in here with me. So she's still not happy, but she's quiet. So
Oh, poor me.
yeah, poor baby. She's stuck in here with me, her least favorite person on the planet.
I
So
hate my mom,
She-
and there are things happening outside.
She acts like she fucking hates me.
She doesn't hate you. She's just
She doesn't hate you. She just is constantly disappointed by you.
I know.
she's just going through her teenage phase where she's like, "Ugh, Mom, ew."
I know. No, she's
You
curled up
just
in her
don't
bed.
understand.
It's almost time for her afternoon nap anyway, so she's curled up in her bed. She'll probably fall asleep. It's all good. Okay.
Little Pep is asleep.
She just sounded like really upset, and I could hear her through my headphones, so I was like, okay, we're gonna go check on the dog. Because she sounds mad. Yeah, she's already falling asleep, so I think we're good now. Okay, sorry. Where were we?
All right, I'm finishing this last stitch on this row. Okay. Cool. Okie dokie. We were at it. This is a degreaser.
Yes.
And why would you bathe in WD-40? Anyway.
Yeah, plus wasn't this in the 90s?
Yes, this was in the 90s. Like I said,
Okay.
you could still buy it at hardware stores,
Well, yeah.
but it wasn't diluted like the one that you used to be able to put on yourself.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going. Like, I feel like she would have been aware that you can no longer put that on you without going blind. You know?
Yeah,
'Cause it
the
had
one
been,
in
like,
the
30
picture
years.
is the diluted one, so
Yeah.
you can see it's 70%.
Mm-hmm.
But the one at the hardware store was like, just this chemical. Have a good time.
Yeah.
All right, so Patrick Grant, who was the, I believe he was the assistant director at the Forensic Science Center, which is that laboratory that I was talking about. He posited that when exposed to, I said air, what I meant was oxygen. When exposed to oxygen, the substance DMSO converts into dimethyl sulfate, not sulfone, which acts much differently than the latter. So, quote, as a gas, dimethyl sulfate vapors destroy cells in people's eyes, lungs, and mouth. When this vapor gets into the body, it can cause convulsions, delirium, and paralysis. Of the 20 symptoms described by medical staff that night, 19 of them match the symptoms of people who have exposure to dimethyl sulfate vapors.
Okay.
That seems like a much more plausible than mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't she
And
have
then-
to have been, like, emitting it somehow, though?
Well, if she was coated in it, and then,
Yeah.
like, if you remember, she received oxygen on the
Oh,
ambulance
right. Yeah.
So they're saying that maybe some of it, like, leaked out of her,
Like her
what's
mask.
that called?
The
Yeah.
face mask dealy.
No, is that? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, if it, like, leaked out, then maybe it started having this reaction.
Yeah.
So,
My,
this...
I mean, also you have oxygen in your blood.
but it would have been
That too.
exposed to just the general air, So
And air is mostly nitrogen.
That's true.
I think that's a common misconception that people have, that air is oxygen.
Well, no,
It's
I know it's
There
not
is
straight oxygen.
No, I'm saying to you, I'm just saying to the general public,
yeah.
there is oxygen in the air, clearly, because we need it to
Yeah.
breathe, but most of the composition of air is nitrogen.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like a reaction where when she immediately put it on her skin, her like arm would catch fire.
Yeah.
It's like there's not enough oxygen to do that.
Gotcha. Well, because my first thought was like, if when it's exposed to oxygen, it does this. When you open the bottle, it's going to do this. You know what I mean? So,
And then your eyes would melt.
So it must just have like really. It must need like a fairly high level of oxygen.
Yeah,
to mix
exactly.
with. Okay, gotcha.
So that would explain that the staff wasn't like stressed or mass hysteria or whatever. It was dimethyl sulfate poisoning. So this using this cream would explain why she had that sheen on her body and that scent. But Ramirez's family denied that she ever used it. They're like, we don't recall her ever having anything like that.
Yeah. What was the... You may have said this already, I'm sorry. What was like the benefit she would have gotten from using this when she was also taking painkillers?
I mean, if she used it before as like a cure-all.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Like, sometimes you just use, like, Vicks VapoRub, like, people use that stuff for everything.
Or,
like it's just one of those things.
Yeah, the dad in...
Cough drops.
The dad in My Big Fat Greek Wedding who puts Windex on everything.
Oh, yeah, he puts Windex on everything. Like, it just... If you grew up doing it, like, maybe she grew up in a household that used it or something. I mean, I don't know. That's speculation, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so also remember that the ambulance drivers had contact with her before anyone else did, and they never suffered from any ill effects.
Yeah.
So that might be some sort of time delay thing with oxygen. I don't know. I don't even know if this is what happened. This is, again, just what that guy, Pat Grant, posited. He was like, I guess, maybe, LOL.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next quote comes to you straight from Wikipedia. I'm just going to read. Shannon, get your little cursor out of here.
I'm
You're coming
sorry.
out
Here, I'll move.
I almost said my numbers.
I moved.
Okay, so this is a, quote, cover-up theory. So, quote, an alternative theory proposed by the New Times LA was that Gloria Ramirez could have been exposed to the precursor chemicals such as methylamine, sorry, too many big words, methylamine, used in the production of methamphetamine. Riverside County has been reported as one of the largest methamphetamine distribution points in the U.S., and as such, the theory posits that hospital workers, parentheses, involved in the production of methamphetamine, end parentheses, were smuggling precursor chemicals in IV bags, and that one could have mistakenly been given to Gloria Ramirez. The key element in support of this theory is that methamphetamine precursors have a distinctive, quote, ammonia-like smell, end quote.
I hadn't heard that theory before. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit, I think.
I know,
I don't
it
think
is.
that the
Interesting,
doctors...
but the fact that like only one single like IV bag would have been
I feel
mistakenly
like,
given.
Yeah, I feel like if this was actually true, there would have been more than one case. You know what I mean? Like this would have happened to other people.
Yeah, and like, what doctors are making meth in a hospital, in a fully functioning hospital?
You're not going to be that fucking stupid to make meth in your own hospital that you work at.
Okay, but my thing is, when do you have time in the ER to make meth?
Like, none. You have zero.
You don't
time.
You don't have time. You're very busy.
Yeah. Well, it just...
and this is a big city.
Yeah.
So.
And...
it's not big. It's like Belleville size.
Yeah. I feel like doctors aren't usually the ones making meth.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like they get paid enough.
Yeah, they don't need to be making meth.
What I mean is...
They might be buying it.
They're not in need.
Yeah. They might be purchasing it, but I feel like most of the people who make meth are not medical doctors.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway.
That just seems like we're going to use these people as a scapegoat.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're kind of
theory.
accusing the ER doctors of being meth manufacturers, which is kind of fucking rude. So, especially since a bunch of them got sick.
And I don't know, whatever. That's just...
Yeah, that one just seems a
just
bit...
one of them.
Yeah.
No.
So, the last one. The last one I have is the toxic fume theory. So this is a theory that the Ramirez family brings up, and I have heard a lot on this theory, and I guess maybe I did hear it on BuzzFeed Unsolved, because I was trying to remember
they talk
where
about
I
it on
originally
BuzzFeed
heard
Unsolved.
this. Okay, yeah, so I didn't use them as a source, but maybe that's where I did hear it. But anyway, one of the podcasts I did listen to, oh my goodness, it was the first one, Medical Mysteries podcast, said that before all of this happened, like a couple weeks before, a patient at the Riverside General Hospital had to leave his room several times because of the, quote, fumes that were coming from the toilet and that were making him sick. So they believe, and I did talk about it before, those sewer gas that I think is coming out of my mouth right now. That it's like incredibly toxic, like it can kill you.
It's sewer gas.
So they think that people who believe in this theory, sorry, you shouldn't use vague pronouns. The people who believe in this theory say that the hospital was using Ramirez's death to sort of cover up the fact that they had an infrastructure problem in the hospital and that there was a leak somewhere that was filling the ER with these fumes. So a lot of the rest of this is going to be from that Washington Post article. Maggie Ramirez Garcia, I'll be talking about her a lot. She is Gloria's sister. So, quote, "It takes them 10 weeks to say she died of natural causes," asks Maggie Ramirez Garcia. Oh, it says it in here, the dead woman's sister. I should have read ahead. "I don't believe anything the county officials or coroner says." So that was her quote. Quote, "The family's pathologist has yet to receive tissue slides or blood tests from the coroner's office to assess in the extent of the cancer." Okay, so this again was written in 1994. So it was like current then. County officials said their investigation exonerated conditions at the public hospital west of Los Angeles, the county's largest health and trauma center. Riverside General has a history of problems with ventilation in patient treatment areas, including the emergency room, according to state workplace safety records. So they already had a record of like an issue with ventilation. And during this whole incident, Dr. Ochio, was that what his name was? What did I say his name was? Yeah, Ochoa. Yes. Dr. Ochoa turned on the ventilation for that Trauma Bay 1 because of the smell. And also there was something in the sink, some kind of substance in the sink, and he thought maybe that was the problem. So he drained the sink as well, just so that we're caught up. Oh, shit, I forgot to bring up my other conspiracy theory.
Okay.
You know what? It might be in this. It doesn't matter. Remember how I said that they initially drew blood from her and that it had the manila particles in it? They threw it out.
What?
In the ER that night. No one ever took it.
Why would they
looked at
throw that away?
I don't know.
That's suspicious.
I don't know how that fits into any of this. I just thought that was an interesting point.
That is a really big oversight, even with most of the ER staff on the verge of death, apparently. Like that.
Yeah,
I feel like they would have
forgot to mention it earlier, but yeah, it's such a weird little detail.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Such a weird detail. And it kind of goes into this thought of them as using Ramirez as like a scapegoat to cover up the fact that they had this ventilation and sewer problem. And saying like, oh, she was toxic. Oh, we drew this blood and it was crazy what was inside of it, and then they don't have it ever.
Yeah, that's really weird.
I don't know. That's just really weird to me.
So, real quick, with the autopsies, did they not have did they not see that in the autopsies then? I guess not. So
nope,
weird.
It was just in that initial vial, and then they were
so
like, it's
weird.
so crazy. Anyway, don't look at it ever again. It's gone.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really know where to place that. So.
Yeah, because that isn't really like
Sorry,
a theory.
it's
just a weird detail.
It is. It's so strange.
Yeah, that's really fucking weird.
That's weird though that like no one talks about that.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't know that they misplaced the vial. Or lost it or threw it away or whatever the hell they did.
They threw it away.
Yeah.
And then we're like, don't worry about it.
I'm gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're back in this article now. So, in April 1993, the California Occupational Safety and Health Administration notified Riverside General that the first floor emergency room was permeated with, quote, sewer gas from a drain. The hospital also was cited in 1991 when 2 employees sought medical treatment after possible leak of hazardous gas from a sterilizer. In 1992, the hospital was notified that an inspection found algae growing in a water reservoir. So I think the reservoir was, like, under the building.
Yeah.
Or, like, near the building.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the hospital clearly has some issues with its infrastructure. And
Yeah.
that really makes me question all of these other theories, because it's like, was this all just a big cover-up? Like, the meth thing is clearly not even.
No, like, we're not even going to consider that one.
No, it's just like a dumb whatever. But, like,
yeah.
the toxic,
other one.
the DMSO cream, I can't see that happening.
That one's just weird.
Just because that would take so much. The reaction that would make that change from the sulfone to the sulfate possible, I think requires so much concentrated oxygen.
Yeah, I think that was
like,
yeah, I think that's what they said on BuzzFeed
like
Unsolved. Like, there would have had to have been so much of each substance that it's like not feasible to assume that reaction's going to happen.
Yeah. And for that many people to be poisoned by it, it would have had to been like the entire room
exactly
is just coated in it.
And they would have been able to find a measurable amount of it, which they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't find
any. No, there wasn't.
Did
really...
they like find it in her house or something?
They did find some, because remember that's the stuff that they said might have been from the codeine.
Right.
But it wasn't like.
Whoops.
But it wasn't like. I mean, it was a lot, but it wasn't like. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was mass hysteria, because seasoned ER doctors and nurses,
they don't.
Please.
Yeah. They don't.
Yeah,
do that.
you can get overwhelmed and like pass out, like because you're hot or you're tired or you forgot to eat that day or you are
like
dehydrated.
They're used to working 12-hour shifts with very little food and lots of stress.
Yeah.
When someone comes in with a heart attack, you're not gonna pass out. You've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
Even if there's like something weird in the blood or like they smell the nastiest stuff.
Yeah. Like, they can handle...
Cough, sewer gas.
Yeah, exactly. They're usually huffing sewer gas, apparently. So, like, this wouldn't have been that weird of a thing for them.
All right, so I'm going to keep reading this article.
Yeah.
Quote, the Ramirez family contends the hospital has portrayed Gloria Ramirez as a, quote, toxic monster, end quote, to conceal its own possible culpability in her death. Quote, I honestly believe my sister may have lived if she hadn't gone into the emergency room that night, said Ramirez Garcia. Quote, I don't know what the county is afraid of, but we want answers, end quote. So that's why I changed the first slide, because I was like, her family doesn't want her to be remembered for this. This is clearly something else was going on in that ER.
Yeah.
All right, so continuing. A noted forensic pathologist not involved in this case commented that the hospital's original version of events was, quote, very interesting and very misguided. There was no way that fumes can come out of a body and hurt people. That idea went out in the dark ages, says Michael Baden, former chief medical examiner of New York City, in a telephone interview. This kind of thing gives death a bad name. Dead bodies don't make people sick, end quote. Mm-hmm. So even like this guy from New York City was like, that is... That's ridiculous.
Well, that was kind of, I think I said it earlier, like, she would have had to have been, like, emitting something, but that's, like, not how humans work. Like, that's just not, yeah.
I know.
I think that's where I was getting stuck on that,
yeah, because, like, I could see if it was, like, in an autopsy later when they, like, cut her open or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she was emitting gases, but, like...
But even then, it wouldn't be in that amount either. You know what I mean? It would just be like a normal. Yeah. Or like maybe even if somehow like there was something like in her blood and it touched them somehow, that I could see. But like we are not producing
that
like
much
that,
gas.
and it's not just coming out of our pores. Like, that isn't how people work.
I know, we're not frogs. We don't breathe out of our skin.
Yeah.
Like, we don't
That was where I was...
secrete
Yeah.
toxins like poison dart frogs or whatever.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I was getting hung up on that
Anyway.
with the DMSO thing, because I was just like, even
Yeah.
if she used an entire tub of it on herself, like,
I know.
it would have had, like, a shelf life for the reaction, because most reactions, there is a shelf life. Like, they don't just go on forever. At least in my
Yeah, do you
understanding.
mean Half-Life?
Half-life, yes. That's what I meant. Thank you. I meant end date, actually, is what I meant, but I said shelf life,
Okay.
and then half-life is the better term, yes. Clearly, I'm very good at science.
We are science.
Oh.
Yeah,
Science.
but, like,
Science.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like any of the theories, personally, because even with the cover-up thing, like, I don't see how that benefits them, because now they're bringing a very visible... Like, they're making it really visible that there is a toxicity problem, whether it's coming from her or from them. And that just doesn't, to me, it seems like they're
there's
drawing
so
attention.
many ways that could go wrong for them.
Exactly. It seems like that would be, like, drawing attention to the problem. Why not come up with something completely different to draw attention away from the problem, even if they are trying to blame it on her, especially when there's, like, documented history of it being a problem. Like, the authorities are not going to believe that this woman is a gas bomb and that she broke the hospital. Like,
Yeah.
that's just not, I don't know. Just logically, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, none of these theories are good in my opinion, is the moral of that little rant.
Would it blow your mind if I told you? No, I can't even. I don't even know where this is. Well, we'll look. Well, I'll look for it in a minute. But all right, let's finish up this article. So yeah, dead bodies don't make people sick. Quote: Last week, the county announced, so Riverside County, announced that a key piece of evidence, the syringe used to draw Ramirez's blood in the emergency room, had been inadvertently discarded. Maggie Ramirez Garcia said she believes her sister had begun chemotherapy or radiation treatment the week she died. The cancer was advanced, Ramirez Garcia says, but was not supposed to be fatal. So,
Okay.
again, Maggie Ramirez Garcia believes that her sister would have survived had she not gone into the emergency room. Because there was something hinky going on.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what I want. Okay, so in 1998, the old Riverside General Hospital closed.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, wait, oh, here we go. 1990s, 1998, 1992. Yes, okay, so an earthquake, the Landers earthquake in 1992 rendered some of the buildings structurally unsafe, so they started to build a new one, which might explain why there was a leak in the sewer system, because if you have a freaking earthquake...
What year was that earthquake?
92, and
Okay.
she died in 94.
Okay, gotcha.
In
Yeah,
the beginning
that's
of
totally
94.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then in 1998, the facility, or a new facility opened, and the current Riverside Hospital is abandoned. So I just think that maybe, I don't know, I guess now that I've done this presentation for you, I believe the sewer gas theory, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards. It's the cover-up aspect of it that doesn't make sense. Like, logically, I don't follow, because that's, again, you're drawing attention to a problem instead of just attempting to bury the problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
I am leaning
that
more toward
partially
that one, though. That one makes the most
because
sense.
because there were all of those reports that came out.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't want to close the hospital in the interim between the old building and the new building being built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe,
Yeah.
like, with just covering up that this was a gas leak, that it would give them more time to finish the hospital so that no one would be, like, out of work and the hospital wouldn't lose money in the meantime.
So,
I don't know.
with that, how would that explain the bone problem with the resident?
The what problem?
The bone, like her bone dying? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, is
Maybe
that
it was a
separate
pre-existing
thing?
condition she
Yeah.
had.
And then two,
I don't know.
I'm still just thinking there would have
Well,
been more
okay,
cases
wait.
like this. Maybe. I don't know.
There was. The person didn't die, but he had to leave that room because he was getting so sick from the gas.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they were also cited for, like, all of these issues.
True.
Let me see.
Okay.
I don't know. It's so...
Yeah, I just feel like we
crazy.
don't have, like, enough info on our end. Not that, like, we have plenty of info, but I feel like we're still missing some from them to solve, you know what I mean?
It's so weird. There's not a whole lot. I mean, there is, but there isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I just want to know, like, were the ER doctors aware that there may have been a sewer gas leak? Like, was it... I mean, I'm assuming the administration was. But, like, did the administration tell the coroner, hey, it was because of a sewer gas leak, but you need to hide... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who
And
talked
there was
to who?
other... Exactly. And there was more stuff that I didn't even consider touching on this. Someone involved in this case ended up committing suicide. I don't remember who it was, but it was during the investigation.
Yeah.
And like I said, Julia, what's her name? Julia Gorchinsky had a big lawsuit going. It was crazy. It was just, there was so much that happened, but I barely scratched the surface on this. Like, it's an incredible case.
Yeah.
And so I really just don't even know.
Yeah. See, and then her suing them makes me think that they didn't know about the, like, risks of being in that ER just as doctors. Right? Because didn't she sue the hospital?
Happened before.
What?
They were cited in 1991 with the hazardous gas leak.
What did she sue for then?
And two employees sued.
Okay. What did she sue for then?
She sued for damages.
Well, no, like, why?
I think.
Like, what did the hospital do wrong that caused her to sue is what I mean. Like, over what action? Because if she knew, she's not going to win. That's just how it's going to go.
I think it was something...
For the
I think
meth
it was...
thing?
No. I think she was suing because she didn't want them to say it was mass hysteria.
Oh, right.
Because
okay.
she was
Gotcha.
like,
Okay.
clearly mass hysteria didn't cause my bones to die.
Yeah. Okay, so that would have probably been like a slander or defamation kind of a thing instead. Okay, that makes more sense. Cool.
Yeah, there was other things.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was so much involved.
Yeah. Because if you know that there is a problem going into a situation, that is called an assumption of the risk, and you cannot sue if something bad happens to you most of the time. So,
Okay.
I remember things from tort law. Yay me.
So, 2 months after, this is again from Wikipedia. 2 months after her death, her body was released for the independent autopsy and burial. They said that the DSMO conclusion was probably... The coroner's office said, it was probably mass hysteria, but also we believe in the DSMO thing. Or DMSO. Did I say that? I know I said DSMO. Listen, I'm dyslexic. Then that was probably the most likely cause of the symptoms of everyone else in all the ER workers. But the Ramirez family's pathologist was unable to determine a cause of death because her heart was missing and her other organs were cross-contaminated with fecal matter, and her body was so incredibly decomposed because, again, they held her for so long.
Why?
But why?
Why weren't they
so
keeping her
contaminated?
preserved? That too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because like you can keep a body in a coroner's like department, whatever, for a decent amount of time if you're like preserving it correctly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, you can't do any tests if she's like, what's the word? When you use formaldehyde.
Yeah. Still, her heart should be there, and her other organs shouldn't have been contaminated.
Well, the fecal matter thing makes me think again, sewer gas. Maybe it was just a whole sewer freaking explosion and like everyone was just covered in poop and then got diseases. Because you can get hepatitis from poop.
You can get a lot of things from poop.
Anyway. So on April 20th, 1994, 10 weeks after her death, she was buried at Olive Wood Memorial Park in Riverside in an unmarked grave because her family didn't want her to be like, I don't know, they didn't want
people showing up.
Yeah, exactly. So her family wants, and I tried to find her obituary, but I couldn't. It was just like basically copy and pasted the Wikipedia article in all of the obituaries I looked at. Her family wants her to be remembered as the person she was and not the media and medical circus that she was a part of.
Yeah.
So Gloria Cecilia Ramirez was born January 11th, 1963 and died February 19th, 1994. She was 31 years old.
Dang. I always forget that she was that young, too.
I know. She was so young.
Yeah. Oof.
Anyway, that's my story.
Yeah. That was good. Good job, Huna.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this case is just weird.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's just so much happened.
Yeah, I'm leaning more toward a hospital fuck up in some ways, but again.
Yeah, and again, that's probably why they kept her body so long, because they're like, oh, we fucked this so badly that we need to hold on to it until there's nothing they can discern out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's awful.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for her family.
Yeah.
I believe her sister found out by reading, well, no, she got a call, but she read in the newspaper the day after this happened about the case, and she's like, wow, I wonder if my sister went to high school with her because they were the same age, and then got a call from her mother-in-law that told her.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. It's horrible. Anyway, is Shelby still here?
Shelby, you still here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
We're good.
I was just worried.
You kind of...
All right, well, that's all I got. Should we end it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This comes out... Well, just real quick. This comes out on New Year's Eve. So everybody have a happy New Year's Eve, New Year's and all that. Hopefully your other holiday celebrations weren't shitty. That's basically all I can hope for at this point.
Honestly, if you breathe them through it, you're good.
Yeah.
You could be dead.
Yeah. Almost done. It's all good.
Almost done.
Yeah. All right, then.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Thanks for listening to The Triad. Our music is by Scott Buckley. Our audio is recorded by our sound engineers, Craig Bott and Audrey Credo.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr as The Triad Podcast. Our website is thetriadpodcast.wordpress.com. There, you can find information about our latest episode, including the show notes and sources.
We're also on Patreon as The Triad. Currently, all Patreon funds will go towards the cost of hosting the show. Each tier has its own rewards, but every patron receives our undying gratitude. Do you have comments, questions, or stories? Email us at thetriadpod@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive.